For more than 2 decades, California's electric vehicle drivers have enjoyed the privilege that millions of traditional commuters envied: the ability to glide into the carpool lane while driving solo. Typically, an HOV lane means you have to have at least 2 people in the car, and that perk was created under the state's Clean Air Vehicle program. It was meant to reward early adopters of electric cars and hybrids while encouraging the broader public to embrace cleaner transportation. Of course, ride sharing was also a reason to get into the HOV lane. But after September 30th, that advantage comes to an end, and there are a lot of very unhappy Californians. California's Department of Motor Vehicles has confirmed it stopped accepting new applications for the Clean Air Vehicle decals. Those are the stickers you see on the vehicles that are electric, allows them to drive in the HOV lane. And that was as of August 29th. No one said anything. It wasn't in the papers. They kept it quiet, like they do with a lot of rules. And the existing decal will no longer be valid after October 1st. So if you have one, you might as well scrape it off because it's not going to help you get in the HOV lane. And that means a Tesla, a Chevy Bolt, a Toyota Prius Prime with a single driver will be treated the same as gasoline-powered sedans in traffic. I guess you can call that equity. Using the high-occupancy vehicle lane or the HOV lane alone, with one person, you could risk a ticket up to $490. And the reason behind this abrupt shift is not state policy, but federal law. The Clean Air Vehicle program was last authorized through 2015 and the federal transportation law, which included a sunset clause requiring Congress to extend it. They didn't, and that extension never happened. Without Washington's approval, California cannot legally continue granting carpool lane access to EV drivers, which is very interesting because a lot of dealers use that as an angle to sell cars. You could put your electric vehicle in the HOV lane and get to work quicker. That's now out the door. That plus losing the tax credit from a federal level and a state level, that's really going to hurt EV sales. Before I tell you why this matters, here's a quick word from our video sponsor. If you have digestive issues, it could be caused by a toxin that's in all of those so-called healthy foods that scientists have been telling us to eat with the fraudulent food pyramid for decades. According to Dr. Gundry, a world-renowned cardiologist, this is affecting millions of people nationwide. Warning signs include weight gain and fatigue, digestive discomfort, and stiff joints, even skin problems. Dr. Gundry explains these side effects, which are often mistaken for normal signs of aging because of digestive issues, usually develop over a matter of years and sometimes even decades. The good news is you can easily help fix the problem from your own home, and it's very simple. You just have to know which foods are actually healthy and which ones contain those potential hidden toxins. So you can find out for yourself at gutcleanseprotocol.com/car. After years of research, Dr. Gundry has released an informative video to the public, free, and showcasing exactly which foods you need to avoid. Go find that video at gutcleanseprotocol.com/car or click the link in the description below. This has sparked frustration among both state officials and drivers who had come to view the privilege as a key reason to purchase electric vehicles. And since its inception in 2001, California has issued more than 1.2 million decals, with about 512,000 still valid this summer. The scale of adoption made California a national model for incentivizing EV use. For many, skipping bumper-to-bumper traffic was just as important as lower fuel costs or environmental benefits. And Governor Gavin Newsom sharply criticized the lapse, although he probably could have done something about that, and he didn't. He blamed the Congress inaction. His office warned that revoking the EV access to the HOV lanes will worsen traffic congestion and increase air pollution. Again, you can do something about that if you want to, Gavin Newsom, but you're not. California already struggles with air quality, hosting 5 of the nation's top smoggiest cities, according to the American Lung Association. And state officials argue that taking incentives away from EVs could discourage adoption at a time when they want more drivers behind the wheel of battery-powered cars. Again, you took away the tax credit, not on a federal level, but on a state level. So this is just another thing you can blame your governor for. But the politics of EV incentives have shifted dramatically in recent years. Bipartisan support has fractured, and federal priorities have moved away from the programs like California Clean Air Vehicle Initiative, and under pressure from President Donald Trump, environmental waivers that California used to set as its own strict emission standards were revoked. He also signed an executive order halting federal EV incentives such as the $7,500 tax credit and moved to eliminate the state's zero-emissions vehicle mandate. More recently, his administration backed several resolutions overturning California's regulations, including its 2035 ban on new gas-powered cars. All wins for consumers, so you can pick whatever you want or keep the vehicle that you own. California, for its part, has doubled down on electrification, although they're not backing it with any tax credits any longer. And electric vehicles accounted for 25% of new car sales in 2024, the highest in the nation. The state now has more EV chargers than gas stations, and its climate policies require automakers to meet aggressive EV sales quotas if they want to continue selling gasoline-powered models in their state. This is going to be a problem without an incentive and no HOV lanes. To bridge the gap, state lawmakers passed legislation in 2024 to extend the Clean Air Vehicle program until 2027. But because federal approval was necessary, the effort has now hit a wall. And again, that California Air Resources Board is putting demands on consumers that don't make any sense. Now, the loss of the carpool lane access raises serious questions about the balance between incentives and mandates. Many Californians purchased EVs with the expectation of long-term access to HOV lanes, and for commuters in areas like Los Angeles and the Bay Area, this was really important, and the time savings was significant. Taking that away could undermine consumer confidence in the state-backed incentives. And again, those incentives are gone. And if benefits can vanish overnight, like they have, will drivers think twice before making the leap into an electric car? I think so, especially with prices still higher than many gasoline-powered vehicles, and insurance is higher, and of course, charging is very expensive in compared to the rest of the country. There's also an issue with traffic itself. With over 500,000 cars losing carpool access at once, HOV lanes may open up, but the general flow of traffic could get worse. And California has long promoted these lanes as a way to reduce congestion and emissions. Yet now drivers who purchased EVs expecting relief from gridlock will be back in the same stop-and-go conditions as everyone else. But hey, you're on a battery, so you don't have to worry about it. Remember, you're the ones that said that we should all switch to EVs, so if we sit in stop-and-go traffic, we won't have this problem. Well, welcome to our party. You're no longer allowed in the HOV lane unless you have someone with you. Now, there are some critics that argue that the carpool incentives were always meant to be temporary. And when the program launched in 2001, the idea was to kickstart adoption of a new technology, not to create permanent class for special drivers. EV sales are now far higher than expected when the program began, and some transportation analysts suggest that the incentives have already served their purpose. In their view, it's time to reassess whether carpool perks are fair, especially as EVs become more mainstream. Not really. They're about 4%, and that's about to be about 2% nationwide, so don't hold your hat on that one. Still, the political framing remains contentious. California officials see the lapse as part of a broader pattern of federal resistance to their climate policies. They argue that while EVs have become more popular, the fight against pollution requires every possible tool, including access incentives. Without federal cooperation, the state faces limits on how far it can go. And that is a good thing, because on a federal level, one state should not control all the rules for the other states, which is what California has been trying to do. Drivers, meanwhile, are caught in the middle. A Tesla owner who counted on the decal as part of their daily commute could soon be facing hundreds of dollars in fines if they continue to use the HOV lane. Discounts on toll programs such as those tied to fast-track clean air vehicle tags will also vanish unless drivers meet normal occupancy rules, which means you need to do some ride sharing. That's probably not a bad idea. Now, this moment highlights a broader tension in the transition to electric vehicles, the clash between ambitious state-level initiatives and the shift of federal policy. California wants to lead the nation in electrification, but it cannot do so entirely on its own. As EV adoption accelerates, well, in some states, but not across the entire country, the question becomes whether incentives should be kept pace or whether it's time for the market to stand on its own. I say it's time for the market to stand on its own and let you buy whatever you want. For now, the result is clear. Starting October 1st, California's EV drivers will no longer be able to rely on the clean air decals to speed through traffic. Instead, they will have to join the rest of us in the same lanes as everyone else. And while the larger policy debates play out in Washington and in Sacramento, there's going to be some changes. And what happens next will depend on how lawmakers balance environmental goals, commuter realities, and political priorities. But one thing is for certain, the end of California's Clean Air Vehicle program marks a turning point in how America incentivizes electric cars. This is a good thing. For drivers, it's a reminder that government programs can change overnight with no notice, and the road ahead may be more complicated than expected. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.